region, but basically it's the Ginger, the Greater Ginger. I'm glad to be here, and I'm very grateful for being invited to talk to people that we share passion, the people that will basically share the same mandate of saving lives. So I'm glad that I'm here and I'm sharing with you some knowledge. I welcome you all. Can we proceed? Am I clear?
Afande, you're very clear, please.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Is our moderator around?
Afande, we request
Elizabeth, you can keep on sharing the slides.
Yeah, I'm going to share
Afande movie is not yet with us.
Yeah, the slides are going to be shared, so please you can proceed with the presentation.
Okay, please. So my presentation will start, I'll begin with the introduction. On the first slide, as you can see, the Constitution, 1995 Constitution, Chapter 361, establishes the Traffic and Road Safety Act, and our mandate is to enforce traffic and road safety laws with a view to ensure safety of the road users. And we have other related laws that we enforce, like the Highway Code, the Traffic and Road Safety Act, and the road law. Second slide, my aim today is to try and acquaint you, the members that are here, to share with you information on the root causes of the road crashes that we are registering, especially now that they are on the rise. What could be the causes? What are our road safety measures in order to avoid death and injuries on our roads, in order to safeguard our roads and make them a bit safer? Secondly, I'm here also to bring to your attention the various regulations that are used in enforcement. And in my scope, I will try and explain what road accident is, what is road safety, the statistics or the data on the road crashes for at least the previous 5 years. I'm sorry, I will not share with you the statistics of last year because it has not yet been commissioned by the IGP, but I'm very sure soon we shall get them. And I will also dig in the causes of the road crashes or accidents as we know it. And then we shall also outline the traffic regulations that we have in place. On the fourth slide, what is road accident or what is a crash? This is a collision involving a vehicle on a road or in a public road. Catchword here is public place, public road that has caused damage, death, injury to a person, animal, or another vehicle or property. The reason we are emphasizing on public here is, for example, if you knock your neighbor's child as you're getting out of the gate, we may not consider that an accident, but we shall take you on a case of rash and neglect, causing death through rash and neglect. So for us, the traffic officers or the Traffic Act tackles mostly the public place, the public areas, and the public road. Another slide is what is road safety? Road safety refers to the measures used to prevent road users from being killed or seriously injured. What can we do, all members of the public, me and you inclusive, what can we do to prevent your child, your neighbor, your relative, the road user, the person who is sweeping the road, the person who is walking, or the kid who is going to school? What can we do to safeguard them, to make sure that they are not injured or they are not killed in these crashes? That is what road safety is all about. And when we are talking about road users or road safety, road users includes the road users that are affected or that are helped, assisted in the road safety campaign or programs or practices. We include pedestrians, we include cyclists, including the pedocyclists or the motorcycles or the boarders as we refer them here. And we also include these motorists. Then we include vehicles, passengers on both private and PSVs. PSVs are those buses, the vehicles that are carrying passengers for pay. We have the buses and the taxis that they are common on our roads. So those are the road users that will be affected by the insecurity, by the unsafe roads, by the bad practices that we have on these roads. Another slide is the statistics from 2017 up to 2021. You can read through and you try to understand, but what catches everyone's eye here is the accidents involving motorcycles or the borders. You can see it is the highest actually. In 2021 alone, we had 1,390 accidents involving motorcycles. Amongst those, 528 were passengers on these motorcycles. So you can read through these statistics and you understand that the major challenge that we have mostly year after year is motorcycles, and those who are mostly affected are the passengers. So it could be basically you and me who use this as a means of transport. You can see 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, it is constantly up. And you can see in 2020 and 2021, half of it, we registered less accidents. And that was basically because there was no public transport, we were locked down. So accidents were few because vehicles were less on road. We didn't have these many taxis, we didn't have many buses, we didn't have motorcycles that were on the road, they were carrying essential goods, not passengers. So the accidents were less because we were few on the road, but still they were there. Now, when you come to 2021, you can see the increase. And in 2022, I'm very sure that we have hit record. We are actually beyond, I think we have hit record of like the past 5 or 7 years. We registered quite a high number of accidents last year, but we shall get to that later. So we are still on statistics on slide 7. We are seeing annually 1.35 million people are killed on roads globally, and 3,700 people are killed in crashes every day, daily. That means like about every after 25 minutes, we lose a person. That is on average. We lose a person in accidents, in crashes. And amongst these, the low-income countries, which actually has 1% of the registered vehicles in the whole world, 1%, but we register 13%, we contribute 13% of these all accidents globally. So you can see we have less vehicles compared to other developed countries, but we have the highest number of accidents globally. Yeah, so statistics also continues. Road crashes are the leading cause of death in children between 5 to 14 years. That is on record, it's on world record. And more than half of these crash victims are vulnerable road users. These are pedestrians, those who are walking, and cyclists. The cyclists include and involve motorcyclists and cyclists of these tricycles, cyclists of bicycles. So those are the vulnerable. Chances of you dying or getting injured on road when you're on a motorcycle are way too high than the chances of someone who is driving or inside a vehicle. So we are trying to look at the causes of these accidents. The first topmost is speeding. Speeding causes drivers to lose control of the vehicles, increases stopping time. In case of an emergency here, stopping time means that in case you abruptly meet a person or you meet an obstacle, or you are forced to stop, you cannot brake. You take longer time to brake because you are at a higher speed. That's what it means, like increasing stopping time in case of an emergency, and decreases the effectiveness of the safety mechanisms. It is hard to brake a vehicle which is flying. I am sure we can all testify that a person who is driving at 170 cannot brake easily. Even sometimes I think even the brakes disappear. You even forget where the brakes are when you're driving at that high speed. So chances of you, the higher the speed of the car, the severe the injuries in case of an accident, and the lower the chances of survival. A vehicle which overturns at a higher speed has severe injury. The person inside, the passenger, the driver will get severe injuries, and chances of you dying when you are overspeeding are so high compared to the person who is driving at normal speed. Because even when a vehicle overturns at a normal speed, you can get injuries, but can be treated, unlike the one who is at a higher speed. So speeding has been cited as a major cause, especially on the highways, where people don't respect speed limit signs, where people only drive where there is traffic officers. Without traffic officers, when you pass the traffic officer, you just accelerate. The second cause of accident is the mechanical condition of the vehicle. Mechanical problems due to lack of maintenance or defects in auto parts can cause or contribute to traffic accidents. Among other mechanical issues, we are looking at tires. Tires have been cited on our road several times. Out of 10 accidents that happen, about 5 or 6 are due to tire burst. We have tires that are worn out. We have tires that have expired, and they are still being used on road. One of the top mechanical faults that can cause an accident is faulty tires. If the tires are worn out and the tread is diminished, the tires are more likely to slip, and it would take a driver longer to stop due to the tire weakened. When a tire has no tread, the treads are these sort of brakes on the tire. So when the tire is worn out, it just continues. Even if you brake, it is just sliding, especially when it is raining. Try and do that, you will see by experience. So tires have been cited as a cause of accident. Another one is brake failure, where you cannot brake your vehicle in time in case you need to. Another one is the steering and the suspension system. If the steering and suspension fails, the driver can lose control of the vehicle and collide with the other vehicle. Headlights and tail lamps. You can see, like when you're, I'm sure most of us here have driven around. When you're following someone whose tail lights are not working, are not functional, you can never know whether the person is going to brake, the person is stopping, the person is branching off. You just follow him, and then eventually you find yourself hitting him from behind because there is no indication that he's stopping or something. So these lights are very important. Or when you meet a vehicle in the night without lights, it doesn't look like a vehicle at all. Or you find a vehicle on a highway with one light, it looks from afar, it looks like a motorcycle. You may not know that this is actually a vehicle, and you have to create space for it to pass. Another mechanical problem is windshield wipers. These wipers have been, you might think that that is something small because they are cheap and we rarely use them when it is not raining, but they are very, very important. Like when it is raining, like when your windscreen is dirty, your visibility is very affected, and it might lead to a crash. Another cause of accident, of course, is bad roads. We have had cases of where someone is dodging a pothole and ends up going in the other lane and colliding with an oncoming vehicle or motorcycle. So these roads that are not maintained, or maybe that have lots and lots of, when it rains, these potholes become small lakes on the road. You have smaller crater lakes on the road. So they end, as drivers, you would tend to dodge it. But in the meantime, remember, these roads are small. They are not, most of them are not dual carriage, they are single carriage. So meaning that the slight movement from your lane pushes you to another lane, and most likely to an oncoming vehicle, and may end up causing an accident. Another cause of accident on our roads is reckless driving. The Traffic Act 1998, Amendment 2020 has specified what reckless driving is. But examples is like overtaking in corners, failing to give signals when you're going to branch off, you're just branching off like an animal, but you are driving a vehicle which has indicators properly functional, but you are not using them, yet you want to branch off. When someone knocks you, you start giving examples, stories that I was branching off, the person knocked me from behind, but you never indicated, you never gave any signal that you're getting off. Drifting into another lane, especially like when you're overtaking, using handheld phones, failure to respect traffic lights, for those who have driven in cities that have traffic lights, failing to stop at pedestrian crossings, especially in front of schools, in front of hospitals, where you clearly see that anytime anyone will be crossing that road, and there is a pedestrian crossing, clearly indicated, clearly marked, but you don't want to respect that, chances are you're going to knock a pedestrian who is using that walkway. For example, here in our city, Jinja, we have very, very clearly indicated pedestrian crossings. But what do? We park vehicles there. We are using them as parking space. Even when a person is approaching, a driver is approaching a pedestrian crossing, there is nothing like, let me slow down or something. Instead, they accelerate. So all that has been specified as reckless driving. In case you knock a person at a pedestrian crossing, we shall take you on. We are charging you of reckless driving. But there's also using phones, handheld phones while driving. Distracted driving. For example, you are driving and you are eating. You're driving, you are busy jazzing with your kids who are seated in a passenger seat. You're driving, you're busy touching, feeling the warmth of your woman, the one you're driving with, a passenger. All that is categorized as distracted driving, and it has a big impact in as far as safe driving is concerned. Another slide is on regulations, traffic regulations. Regulations, in simple terms, is a law that complements the main law. These laws are signed by ministers. When these acts are assented, they become effective. So for us to understand them well and maybe effectively enforce them, we get these other regulations signed by the ministers, explaining or maybe complementing the bigger law on how to effectively utilize it. And among these traffic regulations, we have the EPS for road traffic offenders, Regulation 2013. This one was signed in 2013. This EPS, most of us have been victims of EPS tickets. This law was signed in this regulation of EPS was signed in 2013, and it states on how to effectively utilize it, on how to enforce it. For example, the person has a grace period of 28 days. If you sign for a ticket of careless driving or something like that, you have your grace period of 28 days. After 28 days, if you have not paid that ticket, the ticket attracts a surcharge of 50%, which you must pay. Another example in this regulation is you as the offender, you have a right to say no. But if you say no, be sure that this officer can take you to court. So the EPS is actually a kind of a caution or an alternative for you appearing in court. So you end up paying a fine to government, and that one came into effect in 2013. We have driving schools and driving instructors regulation 2010. We have more
for that precise but very elaborate and straightforward presentation that has